Right, the first medals of the Paralympic Games are being handed out in Paris.
The opening ceremony was last night. Nearly 24 medals are up for grabs today.
More on the Games, we're joined by Amanda Morris in Paris. She's a disability reporter for The Washington Post. And I have to say, Amanda, we are obsessed with murder ball. So we want to know, how is Team USA doing on that front? And what are some of the standouts?
Well, in some exciting news, the U.S. murder ball team won their first game today, and I'm expecting them to win many more games. It is such a fun sport. It's basically it's wheelchair rugby, so it's a bunch of players in wheelchairs smashing into each other. It's high contact, it's intense, and it's really fun to watch. So I'm excited about where that team will go. I'm hoping they'll win gold.
And Amanda, I'm wondering, who are you most excited to see this week?
So in addition to murder ball, I'm also really tracking the men's wheelchair basketball team. They're going for their third gold in a row, which would be history making. And they're pretty favored to win that gold medal. They're a pretty great team. I'm also watching some high performing female athletes. There's Jessica Long in swimming, Oksana Masters in paracycling, and Tatiana McFadden in track. And they all have a bunch of medals, like 20, 18, like so many different medals.
And even, you know, when you watch the Olympics, the athletes have such incredible stories to get to where they are. In the Paralympics, it's even more so. I was fortunate enough to be in Paris briefly to catch a game and soak in the atmosphere on the Seine and see the Eiffel Tower. I'm just wondering, for you, as a journalist covering the Paralympics, what the atmosphere is like for you and what you're soaking up.
I'm really stoked to see that the excitement for the Paralympics is so high this year. I've talked to a number of different athletes who say that this is the most excitement they've ever seen around the Paralympic Games. So we're seeing a lot more excitement and visibility on the Paralympics. It's also the most amount of Paralympic athletes we've ever had competing.
Oh.
So the competition is just getting better and better every year, and just so much more intense as we get more athletes joining in.
Amanda, that's really interesting that there's not only greater visibility for the Paralympic Games, but that there's also more athletes that are competing. Help us get a better understanding of how Paris is responding to the Paralympic Games that are going on right now.
Yeah. You said how Paris is responding?
Yeah, how the whole city is responding, because there was a lot of discussion about how Paris was responding to the Olympic Games, and now it's the Paralympic Games. So as we're making sure that the Paralympic Games don't become overlooked, I wanted to ask a very similar question.
Yeah, so I was at the opening ceremony last night, and there was so much cheering. When France came out especially, the stadium just erupted in roars, and there was a lot of Parisians at the event cheering it on. And I think they're just as excited to see these games as they were with the Olympic Games. A lot of the venues are in the same breathtaking locations, you know, in front of the Eiffel Tower and all these different, like, recognizable landmarks. Yeah. So it's just been really, really cool to see. The only hard part is figuring out what events to go to every day, because there's so many great ones.
That's wonderful. All right, Amanda Morris in Paris, thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.